filmed at NCG Studios in front of a live studio and worldwide internet audience. Hello from the Emerald Coast. We are unchurched. And now, let's dance. And your host, Rhonda Jones. And featuring the man who unchurched them all, Dr. Michael W. Jones.
Then, well, good morning and welcome to Sunday. I don't even know the date, but welcome to the 10th. The 10th.
Yes, the 10th.
The 10th. Okay, welcome. We had a few little boogers in our apparatuses, and so don't worry about that. Got them fixed.
Hopefully.
I think so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
If you're not, just say ew.
Yeah.
So you got something around your neck.
Yeah.
Is that your coronavirus?
No, it's a gator, and I've got to go to the back and fix something, but
Holy
yeah,
shit.
that's all right.
Is it? Yeah. Well, Daryl, are you there?
Well, I've got to be here because I'm not all there. Is what-
Well, let me ask you a tough question. This is your first year Mother's Day without your mom, and mine too. How are you feeling about that?
You know what? I guess I'm really strange, but I feel like I still have her. The biggest difference for me is I won't be making a phone call and hearing her voice, but gosh, she's as here with me as she's ever been in most regards, and so I'm good. I'm good. How are you with it? How are you doing?
I'm pretty sucking with it. I really, and I knew it would be bad, but like yesterday afternoon, it was just me and Connor, our youngest grandson, and he wanted to snuggle on the bed, so we did. And he was doing a video game, and for some reason it just hit me. And then I don't even know how he knew it. He leaned over me and put his hands on each side of me, and he said, "Grandma, do you have an eye booger?" I said, "No." I didn't want to tell him. And then he said, "It's wet." What? He said, "Is that a tear?" And I said, "Yeah, it's a tear," but I didn't express why. I didn't want to bring him down. So, I know my siblings are probably having a bad day. So everybody just think about them. I mean, some people can really get over it, but it's a journey, and I've said it over and over again that you have to walk it your own way, and there's no first, second, third, fourth, fifth way to do it, and that's just it. So,
one huge difference I think between, let's say, you and I, when it comes to our mom, you're right there with her every day, and for years now, I've seen my mom 2-3 times a year, and we stay in touch. We've stayed in touch, but that closeness physically that you had versus the distance and not in any wise as far as our relationship, but just physically, I think makes a lot of difference. And so,
Yeah. I think you're right. I think you're right because we were all over there every day and helping out and helping her, and so I'm sure that's it. But next year will be much better, so that's what I'm looking forward to.
yeah,
Yeah. So, happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. You know who you are.
yeah. Happy Mother's Day to all. I got some benefits of Mother's Day today. One of our sons got up and fixed breakfast for their mom. And guess what? He made me some too, and she gave me permission to eat with her. I'm just glad she didn't say, "Hell no, you ain't getting it. It's mine." She's not.
Well, she's sweet that way, so you should have
Yes.
known. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I cheat, that it's just not fair to everybody else. And we say that to each other often. And it's just between us. I don't want to let this get out, but we'll say, I feel sorry for everybody. It's not us right now. And
There's a country song that says that.
that's where we got it. That's where we got it.
Yeah.
We love that.
I think it's Kenny Rogers and Dottie West.
Yeah. Yeah.
How are you doing, Dr. Jones?
This day is a tough day for many people for various reasons. It's extremely tough for you simply because you had a great mom. Other people are looking at this day as if, wow, this is hell today for me too, but for different reasons. They didn't have a good mom. And so it depends on who your mom was. Since you had a remarkable mom, you're mourning, namely, her loss. This is a grieving process, whereas with other people, it's very complicated. That is, the moods are all over the place on Mother's Day, and typically we don't talk about the various moods because so many kids are raised in family environments that are just toxic. And at the end of the day, it's, the reason that so many people are going, let's say, in all the wrong directions has much to do with they don't have a good mom. And so, this day is painful for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. Can you imagine, being left in some orphanage somewhere because someone didn't give a damn about who you are? Think about so many people just suffering because they don't know how to connect with anything close to what you truly are. And I've always bragged about you being the best mom on the planet, and you are. You know how to nurture. You're good at that. And so, when you pass away, our kids are going to mourn because they're going to miss you. They're going to think about your love, and it's going to be in that vein only. But other kids, when their mothers are not there, it's going to be maybe a day in which they feel relief. It's everybody's not on the same page, and so it's hard for me to say Happy Mother's Day to everyone simply because the landscape of where people find themselves is so radically different. So it's a very complicated day, and so if you've had a good mother, awesome mother like you did, and the same thing is true with Daryl. I mean, both of you guys had.
And you, of course.
My mom's still alive, and she's in the studio right now. She's getting ready to turn 89.
Yep.
She wants to click up to about 198. Probably will. But my point is, I'm hoping that all of the viewers are trying to reflect, because I've had so many people tell me, you and your wife are lucky. You guys have had such wonderful parents, and we have been blessed. We really have, and we have so much to be thankful for, simply because from day one they were good. It wasn't that, When we became older, they went through some kind of therapy, and then they started treating us better, and then we worked out a relationship much later in life. That's not the case. From day one, you've had experiences with your mother, and you're not just reflecting on a couple of moments. You're reflecting on a lifetime with your mom. You're reflecting on the last few years since her death, simply because you were not just the most remarkable daughter she could have ever had. I mean, you were a nurse. You were wearing so many different hats. You had to be an economist. You had to be all kinds of things. You had to get all those things balanced out. And I don't know of anyone besides God who could have handled that. And that's why I continue to call you God, because you've done an outstanding job. And yes, this morning, if I were in your shoes, I would be crying from the beginning of the day, and during the day I would cry, but at the same time I would say the reason that the grieving is tough, it's because I love the hell out of my mom. And so there's a difference between grieving, that is, with someone who lost an awesome mom, and someone who just lost someone who gave them nothing but conflict, if that makes sense. And so, I don't know, it's complicated. This is, like I said, it's a very moody day. And if I had anything to share, I would say, don't live in the past. Don't get anchored emotionally in the past. Learn how to live now. Put some strategies together, that is, for the future, so you can at least develop some sense of hope. And so if you're out there and you have negative experiences, let's say with mom or dad or brother, sister, friend, whatever, sometimes it's worth trying to fix it. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's better just to get away from toxic people, and that offends a lot of people when I say that, but the facts are on the table. Some people are too damn toxic to ever complement your life with any kind of functionality. And so this is why I'm so protective of our children, our grandchildren, because they don't need to be around toxic people. They don't need to be around people who are going to make their life hell. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
It's just not good. But your mother made your life great. And so I'm married into greatness. And so this day is a day for me that I can, drill down a bit just to explore, that love, that richness that you had with your mother. And the other day you told me that I developed a laugh that's similar to hers. And
Yeah.
that's what we do when we like someone, we love someone. We take some of that stuff on without even thinking about it. And so, I'm proud of that. And so that's something that I will wear the rest of my life with pride.
I read somewhere that after your mom dies, that's the first time you've ever had to experience something that was hard on you without her.
Right.
And
Brilliant point.
you don't know what to do about it. So, but anyway, let's
Make that point again, because our audience needs to hear that, because, therapeutically, that needs to be kept between both of these ears. I mean, that's good. State that again,
Well,
please.
I read it from someone, and they said, when your mom dies, that's the first time that you've never had her to lean on and go to her for comfort. And that's true. That's your first heartbreak. But anyway, I want to show these southern lilies
Yeah.
that Meredith and Jonathan.
Those are looking good.
They came right out of their yard. True Southern lilies. They're beautiful.
Very
Yeah, Daryl loves them, but then he went up to me about the bluebonnet. So
Oh, now.
you
That
did.
was a picture. That was a picture. They were real. Those are live. They're beautiful.
Yeah, they are. They really are. They mean a lot.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking about my mom and the what she means to me now and what she has meant to me. And I actually found myself quoting her this morning, and it was something that I stated at the service that we had for her. And I asked the people that were there, which was about 3/4 family and then a quarter, and this was before the virus, so we could have a regular service. But I don't know, there was probably 75 family members, and then the rest were, and I'm just guessing, but there's a bunch of family there. I'll just put it that way. And I said, "How many of you?" And I said, "And I want a show of hands." I said, "How many ever heard my mom say, 'That's enough'?" Most of the hands went up, and yeah, it was just one of her little sayings. Whenever people got too noisy, especially as kids growing up, or too rowdy or whatever, or she just had enough of it, she'd just say, "That's enough." And I used that to express what I felt like her heart was, and it was all the things that people hold on to and insist upon, that keep us divided and keep us from really caring about one another or just relating to one another in an open way. That her response to something like that would be, "That's enough." And that's just kind of the way I used it. And that's the way I remember her, and that's what I intend to carry on. I feel like that's a part of me, and I love it. I in that sense, she'll always be with me. And I can't say, I don't feel like I can say too much about that. She was definitely a wonderful person.
Yeah, that's what I hear about her. I mean, it's good to have great memories, and I do. I'm, progressing through this, and most days I think about her. I mean, I think about her every day, but I say, she was something. And so it's good. It's good. It'll get better and better and better. Next year it'll be better. So I'm looking forward to that. But we have other mothers that need to be recognized. So I just don't want to be so selfish. What about you?
Selfish.
Go ahead, Daryl.
Oh, I was just saying, I don't think that's being selfish, but yeah, it's everybody has one, and that's a good thing for most.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Jones was saying, it's not always good for people, and that's unfortunate because it should be a wonderful thing. It was designed that way, I think, initially, and as a species that is human beings, I think we've gotten off track with that, like so many other things, and so many people miss out as a result. But I think a good thing would be give more attention to that. What does it mean to be a good mother, and how do you do it? Because I think possibly a lot of folks today have lost touch with that.
Yeah.
It's one thing this virus seems to have kind of initiated. Moms are having to spend more time with their children and they're learning what all that is involved there.
Definitely.
Child care or someone else handling those responsibilities.
It's weird. I received a letter, I guess, from the hospice place that we had her at the house, and it said during COVID-19, what's the word? I can't think of the word, but your anxiety and your remorsefulness and everything, it really comes harder on you when something else comes up. And so I thought it was a good idea that they sent that, these many months after. And they say, expect it, because when you go through, a couple things at the same time, it's hard. It's hard on you. And in my mind, I'm like, that's bull crap, whatever. But I read it and I said, I can really, really relate to that. Going through something, a pandemic, and then being, you're grieving, and it's a double-edged sword, and I never thought of it.
Makes sense for sure.
As I was stating earlier, we are all fortunate here simply because, we have something to reflect on that's loving, kind. But, I want to bring this up one more time simply because there are people actually hurting out there. I mean, some kids get nothing but abuse from mom and dad, okay? And so some of you out there know of people who have kids, and it's like every day is a day of drama. And it's just drama everywhere. Every day is just drama. And it's like it's never ending. Other kids, they grow up and it's so dysfunctional at the beginning. Then when the child becomes older, they try to reconcile some things. But simply because of the brain works, typically that's a heuristic game. In a sense, it's almost as if, we can interpret the past however we want to and rearrange the chess pieces and start all over again. But at some point, most of the repressed feelings and whatever's, that will surface again. And I can't encourage people enough, that is, to get around functional people, because that's your life raft, if you want to look at it like that. And this is the thing that I need to say over and over again. Your dad and your mom, they had you in the life raft, and you grew up in a picture perfect family. Well, not everyone grows up in that picture perfect family. Not every Mother's Day is happy and we're celebrating and all that kind of stuff. Some people are not going through that. Most people are not going through that. They're going through, why doesn't my mom love me? Things of that nature. Why does my mom hit me so much? Why does my mom slander me so much? Is she jealous? Just all kinds of crazy things. And so some people, didn't grow up, let's say, in a functional family. And so it's, this day for them is in a sense, let's just move on from this. And then others want to say, well, let's take this day and take good mothers, and maybe it needs to be called Mother's Day for good people, or the good mothers, because it can really bring up, or it can, in a sense, cause a lot of pain. Like I've said, over the years, after doing so many shows, after I've bragged so much about our parents, one of the things that happens with a lot of people are jealous that we've had such strong, close, dynamic relationships with our parents. And and I've had so many, and I'm talking about scholars, say, I wish that I would have had a good mom and a good dad. You don't know how many people I've had state, I don't even know if my mom or dad is even alive or dead, but it doesn't matter to me. And I'm talking about grown people who are good people who had such a devastating childhood that the only way that they could get past it, and some have been through therapy just to try to get out of that craziness that so many children go through. And this is why, if you're doing anything on Mother's Day, think about your mom, yes, but also think about making sure that kids who don't have good moms, maybe you can throw them a life jacket, save them, do something, that would be good. Because I want all of the children all over the world to, know what it means to be nurtured. That's your strong point. You're always nurturing. Our kids get that. Mom's a nurturer. Dad isn't. He will debate you. And so there's a difference between mom and dad. There really is. And sometimes sometimes a dad, sometimes I find myself being very motherly. Sometimes I think that we've gotten too caught up on Mother's Day playing the gender card, as if the only mother that you have in your life is let's say your biological mother. Maybe your father was just as much a mother to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In other words, it may be good to say, Pop, Happy Mother's Day to Pop.
You're right.
Because he probably mothered you as much as Nan did. And so I know in my life, my dad, and, he was very much an alpha male, but he was very much, my mother and my dad at the same time. Sometimes he was my brother. Yeah. Sometimes he was like an uncle. Sometimes he was just a very good friend. And so when you have parents who can be mom and dad, aunt, uncle, and all those different roles and wear all those different hats and they're comfortable with it, it makes life a little bit better. And so, yeah.
I think one of my biggest flaws is I'm a nurturer. You know what I'm saying? And everybody. And, it gets you in trouble sometimes.
Sure.
So, but I wouldn't take it back for anything, I don't think.
No.
Because people need that.
Sure.
People really need nurturing.
I agree with that.
Darrell, are you a mother or a father? Can't hear.
Now can you?
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't tell if there's an X3 on the microphone or not. A little hard to read. I had to get my glasses. Yeah, I don't think there's been much need up until I say that, but really I've just had very little abilities there, I think, and I've been too concentrated on being godlike, this figure that just demands and spells it all out. And at least that's the way I saw God for a lot of years. But anyway, the good news is my children have had such a wonderful mother that they haven't missed out much by me not being able to handle that department. But in the more recent years, I feel like, I've learned from her, and I've realized, hey, the best way to handle this thing is not being demanding, but being very yielding and embracing. It took me a long time just to learn that I didn't need to mold my kids into what I thought they needed to be. And I know that's pitiful, but I'm just being honest, And once I got over all that, I can embrace them for who they are and just, maybe knock off some rough edges because of my own experience.
Yeah,
Growth is something else. If you're, especially in latter years, I think it's a little slower, but I'm
sure.
hoping that I can help my children through the learning process so that the things that seem to take the most time will take a little less time, like
Yeah.
knowing more than anyone else, and just all the different things we go through. Um, that was my problem. I knew so much,
I mean, you
but I got
are a
over
great
that.
team.
What's that?
I said, you guys are a great team.
Well, I think that's what it's about. It's uh, working as a team, the whole unit, the whole family unit, really. And I think that like you were talking about nurturing. You can be a mother to any number of people, and without actually saying, "Let me be your mom for a while." It's just what you express, and expressed in that way, I think it's welcomed. It's like, yeah, I need that, and to me, that's the key. It's not someone trying to fill a role or do their job. It's someone just being the thing that someone else needs. And I think that's uh, what a true mother is. It's just being someone who the child needs.
Yes,
And
exactly.
and that's what I was referring to earlier. It's a shame that with all the technology and all the areas that man as a whole has progressed in, this is something that it's just like it's supposed to be automatic or something, but it's not. I think so many really don't know what you're talking about when you say, yeah, being a mother. Uh, and why can't we find the ones who have mastered that, who have recognized what that really means, share with the others, and the others receive it, and let's get this thing going a better direction. So, as Michael keeps pointing out, it won't be such a sad day for so many people. We can work on this.
I like what you're saying, Daryl, simply because there are a lot of daughters, sons out there who simply who didn't have a good mom, and Rhonda and yourself included, both of you, and I'm including myself in this. We've had great parents, period. But if you can picture yourself, and I think that trying to empathize with other people is perhaps a wonderful way of reflecting on what we do have. In other words, if you can picture in your mind's eye, a daughter out there who feels unloved by her mother. I mean, just think about that for a moment, because, a daughter who feels unloved, she feels like she's not accepted, she doesn't fit in. In other words, she sees everyone else having this wonderful day with their mom. They get to hear all of the yah, oh, wonderful mom, wonderful dad, wonderful family life. And some kids out there are not experiencing that. And so those children typically strive to try to get, and it's terrible during the developmental stages of life. They're always trying this and that, trying to fix mom or fix dad or to fix that relationship. And that's just too much pressure on them. They don't know what they're doing. They're too young to be in that kind of dysfunctionality, if you will. And so, they don't have that sense of belonging. And one of the things that we need, not desire, we have a great need, that is to belong. Our species, if we don't have that need met, it will mess us up. And so when we don't feel as if we fit, we don't feel like we belong, we don't feel loved, we don't feel accepted, we're going to do things that are not functional. We're going to become very, very dysfunctional. And when you look at what that does during the developmental years, by the time that person, let's say, gets into their mid-20s or whatever, gets married or whatever, they're just carrying all of that baggage with them. And then we throw our hands up here in America and wonder why people are taking drugs and alcohol. My goodness. They're trying to find something that would make them feel good because they've never had those needs met. This is the thing that's remarkable about my wife. She is a nurturer. She's going to make sure that everyone around us, they feel like they fit, they belong. That's important. That's not just psychologically important or sociologically important. That's important to my wife. That's who she is. That's who she's always been. She's not exclusive. She's inclusive. And I have nothing but praise for her. And that's why I keep saying that if the stories in the Bible were written after the order of Rhonda instead of Melchizedek, Jesus, or Aaron, we'd be much better off. And I mean that. And I know that you want to say, no, not me. But isn't it about time that we stepped into today instead of living in the past with how the sheep herders treated their kids? I mean, how much parental counseling did we receive from Jesus? And I'm not trying to shame Jesus. And if you love Jesus, worship Jesus, that's fine with me. But what kind of parental advice, what kind of advice did you get that is from the sheep herders, that is in how to deal with, what if you're a kid that you never felt like you belonged? What if you felt as if you were never accepted? What if you're going through all of these many kinds of pains? What if your emotional structure, your emotional narrative was all upside down? What can you find in the text that would provide you, some sense of light? You don't need someone to come along and wipe away your sins. You need someone to take you out of the muck and the mire. You want to talk about hell, you're already there. And many of our listeners, they live in hell day in and day out. They have spouses who are just like the devil. And so what are we talking about? We're talking about theology instead of where people really are. We have people right now who are going through hell, either with mom, dad, brothers, sisters, spouses, friends, whatever. They need a way out. Well, the great thing about your mother, she already, she provided for you, that true, authentic sense of belonging, right? She provided you with not just a sense of belonging, but she accepted you for who you are and how you emerge. She accepted every bit of that. You could do no wrong in her eyes, and that was the blessing that is in your relationship with her. And so when you cry this morning, I understand why you're crying, because, wow, when you reflect on that, that's love. That is the deepest and the best that you can get. And so, but I'm just placing some things in contrast because some people don't have it so fortunate. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Michelle D.
Right. Great person, by the way.
Right. I saw a comment. She said she can't keep her comments, on YouTube. So we need to find out about that.
Right.
So, Michelle, if you're watching, we saw your comments. We're going to do everything we can to keep your comments and your questions on the scroll. So we're going to work on it. So don't you feel bad.
Sure. That's good.
Why don't you,
It's good to see
yeah, I said that. Yeah.
Good to see thumbs up.
Terry's in the house.
Yeah.
Old Fart Groves.
Old Fart Groves is in the house. Love the guy.
I love his name.
You love his name, right? I mean, from time to time he'll come by and he'll he would just share something that's really genius, right? And so that's what we're about. This is not a show that's, oh, we're trying to be professional and all of that. I have on what's called a fishing gator, and what you do is you put it up like this, and yeah, it came in handy, that is with the COVID-19, but that's not what it's designed for. It's just designed to pull over your head. If you have a head like mine, not much hair, you can use it to keep the sun off of you or whatever. During the summertime, if you're hot, you can just take it off, put it in some cold water, put it around your neck, and it will keep you mighty fine. But we do love reading the comments, and we want, that is, to be very, very good friends with people who watch this show. And this is not about Hollywood. This is about building meaningful community with you, right? And so thanks for coming our way.
Yeah, and Terry, he made a comment. He said, for what it's worth, now I got to check it back up. My mom raged constantly against my dad. And when he wasn't there, she raged against me. I grew towards excellence and perfection to repair the mess and never did do it. She made me who I am. Well, I hate to hear that, Terry. Yeah.
But the positive thing is, it's like the kid the two boys that I've stated over and over again. Two kids, one turned out to be a millionaire, the other kid turned out to be
Drunk.
They were asked the same question, why did you become like this? And they both said it was because of their father. And
Right.
so just because you're raised, let's say, in an environment where you may have a bad mom or dad, that doesn't mean that you have to be like them. And so there is hope. And so at some point, if you can get away from toxic people, step away, give yourself permission. In fact, there was something that I said the other day that I thought was good. Let me see if I can look that up. I wanted to make that comment this morning because I think it's very, very good. Boy, I'm slow.
I'll make a comment while you're looking. If you
Sure.
we're talking about the need that we have. It's apparent, I think, to most, if not all, that people need food. Those who are without food, they need someone to come their way. If they have no means, someone to come their way and bring food. And we all understand that, medically speaking, all of us at some time or another need that kind of attention. We need physical healing at times. If we have an injury or if we have a sickness, we need people that know what to do. But this seems to be an area that we're talking about this morning that we have just as much need, but who's there? Knock, knock. How much attention is given to this need that human beings have? And I keep going back to that point, but I think that's where great strides need to be made. How do we deal with this? How do we get people what they need in this area? Because it destroys so many lives, or at least makes us go around as crippled. At the very best, we miss out. And so I sure would like to see more attention given to this subject, more serious thought.
Yeah. I'm still looking for what I wrote down, and I can't find it. I should have prepared it.
So I need to keep talking?
Yeah, just keep talking. Entertain everybody.
I don't know where that's about all I could come up with at the moment. No. No, those who have it, realize what they have, and those who don't have it, I don't think for the most part they realize necessarily what's missing, what they've missed out on, how much difference it could make,
Yeah.
And it just starts with compassion. I think people caring, saying, it's not like I know what you need and I can give it to you. It's just a matter of you know, somehow expressing, and I guess more than anything else, what a person would feel like as a result of, let's say, a dysfunctional mom, I'll just put it in those terms, would be that need of self-worth, of value, of, if my mom didn't love me or didn't seem to love me, then there must be something wrong with me. And that's not true. That's absolutely not true. There's something wrong with all of us, I'm sure, but that doesn't mean we don't deserve to be loved. So.
There is a quote that I used a few days ago, and it's by Dr. Seltzer. He's a brilliant psychologist. I really enjoy his work, and as most of you guys know, I really, really, really am big fans with a lot of psychiatrists and sociologists, etc. Okay, but he said feeling hurt and consequently acting out of compulsion to retaliate in kind is kid stuff. So the question would be, can we learn how to hold on to our most rational adult self and process what's happening inside our head? And to do this before we alleviate our feelings of guilt, hurt, or fear by turning them into anger? Can we begin to break a pattern that may well be hazardous to the relational closeness, harmony, and trust that we, like the rest of humanity, deeply crave? And I think that's sometimes what kids need to ask themselves when it comes to how they get treated. And it's like, let's not always put the blame on someone else. Let's see how we can put this together. And so I'm a big fan of, our educational system trying to get our kids to think instead of parrot in school. Most of our kids go there to parrot, which I think is tragic. But if we can get our kids to thinking and asking certain kinds of questions, I think that will, in a sense, massage better communication, namely between mom and dad and others in the family. That's just a thought.
Before we go, I want to read D.B. Cisco. He said, of all the people in your life, 10% will always love you, 10% will always hate you, and 80%, they don't remember you. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And trying to do a thought experiment with a cat in a box. And first I said Schrodinger's cat. Because I have seen that. I can't remember it though.
In other words, is a cat in the box dead or alive? That's the thought experiment.
I think Terry was the one that brought it up and said, well, if the cat got out of the box, something happened. And if it stayed in the box, we knew the coronavirus. It was crazy. Not that Terry's crazy, but okay, it's not a thought experiment. All right, just
a cat in a box.
Yeah, just a cat in a box.
Okay.
Our cat.
Is it dead or alive? Okay.
That's cool. All right, Daryl, you have any last words of wisdom?
I think I ran out a few minutes ago. It's always good to be here. It's good to be alive. Good to know that there's potentially a good future for all of us.
I believe so. Well, we will see you next week on May 17th. See how fast I am in math? Just bam.
Bam.
May 17th. And it'll be a better day. We'll have a good time. All you guys come back. We'll talk about purple monkeys and cats and boxes and who doesn't like us. And we'll talk about anything you want to talk about. So we will see you next week. Bye for now. it's not us versus them or me versus you.
So we're not talking about an us versus them mentality. We're going for this versus that.
This versus that.
Yeah, okay.
I think it helps you get along better.
game.
Right?
Right.
Sometimes
We get along so well, and sometimes you're extreme right, I'm extreme left, I'm liberal, you're a conservative, and yet we get along so well. That's marvelous, wonderful.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Okay.
Amazing grace.
So today,
Saved a wretch.
like you. So today, what we're going to do.
That's good. Come on, talk to me. Get in that microphone.
What we're going to do is trying to give you a little example of
Example. Give me an example of
this versus that thing.
what he has said.
didn't want
Come
to
on,
know.
Hillary, vote for me, baby.
No.
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 wasn't
I don't
doing
know. I don't know about that.